Hey guys, it's Mr. Sawyer. Today we're going to be starting a new project, and this project is going to be a little longer, so I'm going to give you some more time to work on it. And this project is going to be radial designs. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, it's probably because it is. For some students, we got to start on this project right before we were sent home, but that's about it. We didn't really get that far into the project, so I want to give you a chance to work on it at home. And for those of you that don't know what radial design is, hang on, we're going to learn about that too. For this project, we're going to need paper, a pencil, some scissors, a ruler is very helpful but not required, and a Sharpie. But if you don't have a Sharpie, that's also not a problem. You're also going to need something to color with, and I'm going to use my color pencils. This is a longer project and a lot of details, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so you've got your supplies, and now you're ready to start your radial design. Before we get going, I want to explain why it's called a radial design. A radial design simply means that it's using a radius, or lots of radiuses, and a radius, if you have a circle, a radius is a line from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. Okay, that is your radius. Okay, so that goes from the very center of the circle directly to an outside point. It could be anywhere. This can be a radius. This can be a radius. Even this can be a radius. Okay, as long as they're straight lines, they count as radiuses. So if we're going to look at our project, we're going to be making a radial design, and lots of things have a radius. Okay, they don't have to be a circle. For example, a lot of places in like cathedrals have stained glass windows, and a lot of times those designs are radial. What that means is, for example, let's say I have a flower, right? Start with the center, and as you draw each petal, these all count as a radial design because we're drawing, like the radius here, that line through each one. We don't have to draw the line through it, but each one is going to be exactly the same as the one around it, and that's going to be our goal. The question is, how do we add a design that is going to be the same throughout the entire picture? Okay, that's where our technique comes in today. What I'm going to be starting us with is a brand new sheet of paper. I like printer paper for this, something really, really light. You don't want heavy sketchbook paper, but if you have notebook paper, like say something like this, this will work just fine, but you'll have to trim all of this extra stuff off when you use it, and you're going to also want to tear it out of your booklet. But for today, I'm going to show you this because I feel like this is easiest. Okay, this is where your pencil and ruler come in. Each of the sides, we're going to make a square. Each of the sides has to be exactly the same, so I'm going to measure what the length of this side of my paper is. And it should be 8.5 inches, and that's exactly what it is. Now what I have to do is make sure that these sides also come out to 8 inches, which they're not. So I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit by matching the end of my ruler all the way to that line and marking 8.5 inches, and your paper might be a different size, and then going to the other side of my paper and making sure that's 8.5 inches as well. If this doesn't make sense to you, you can always go back and watch the video again. Now I've made 2 marks, and I'm going to use my ruler, draw a straight line from one mark to the other. Make sure that they are exactly on the marks that you are drawing, and then draw your line. Now that I have the line, I'm going to use the scissors that I was going to use before, and as carefully as I can, cut this line. You want to be as accurate as possible when cutting this line, and if you don't have scissors for some reason, there's also a technique that you can use when you fold your paper, crease it, and then fold it the other way, crease it, and then you can simply carefully tear. And that'll also work. You could do that instead of cutting. Okay. But I prefer cutting. It's much easier and it is really straightforward. Alright, now I've got my square paper. What you're going to want to do is fold it. And there's a few different folds that we have to go through. So pay careful attention. My first fold is going to be from one corner, which is going to be this corner for right now. And I'm going to fold it to the opposite corner across from it. I'm going to match this up as carefully as I can because accuracy will matter later on. Then carefully crease or press down and fold your paper. Now that I've got that, I'm going to go open up my paper, flatten it out, and now go to the corners that I haven't folded yet. So I just folded this one. Now I'm going to go to this corner and fold to the opposite corner. There should be a line that goes straight to the corner you're going to fold to. And then crease. Remember, you want to be as accurate as possible. Any difference or any little bit that you're off is going to matter. Alright, now I'm going to open this back up, flatten it out, and I've got a big X on my paper. I've got 2 more folds to do and then you're ready to go. First, I'm going to take the entire side of this paper. We did corners before, but now we're going to go with the side of our paper and fold that to the opposite side. So what I'm doing is taking this edge and I'm going to match it up with the edge across. It has to be lined up exactly right. Otherwise, you'll have problems later. And again, crease or press down till you get a nice fold. Open that back up, flatten it out, and we're going to do the same thing with the other 2 sides. So I'm taking this side, this entire side, and folding it to the other side, making sure to match up the side and the corners. If I'm off at all, it will probably be noticeable later. Crease that down, and then you're ready to go. Now what you should have is a paper with a bunch of lines on it, a bunch of creases, and you should have 8 lines. And that equals out to being
1, 2, 3, 4.
8 triangles. For right now, we are going to draw a design of any kind. This can be any design, including words, pictures, anything, in only one of those triangles. Okay. You're going to use a pencil, and I'm going to sketch this out so that you can see me do this, but I only go inside of that one triangle that I choose. We'll then be transferring, and I'll show you how to do that later, transferring this image to the other triangles. But first, we have to think of a design. Okay, this can be simple shapes, but if you use things like words, remember that if we are going to transfer them, they will turn out backwards and upside down at times. Sometimes people like to do that. It can look really cool. Other times they forget that it will be backwards and it will not look the exactly right way, and that's okay. For now, I'm just going to start with a simple design, and I can make it complicated later. The thing is, with a design, if you make it too complicated or too busy, it becomes really difficult to transfer from one to another. So one thing that I want you to keep in mind is making sure that you are using nice dark lines going back to add those. I'm going to start sketching softly but hard enough for you to see, and then I will go back and add in darker lines, which you'll have to do in order to transfer. But for right now, I'm just going to sketch.